Bannerman's Castle. This Hudson River castle on Polypel Island was originally built as an arms warehouse and residence. After explosions and fires damaged it, today it's mostly ruins. While you can visit only through organized tours, free roaming or climbing the ruins is not allowed due to safety concerns, and many parts remain off-limits. Bannerman's Castle, perched like a forlorn fairy tale ruin in the middle of the Hudson River on tiny Polypel Island, is one of New York State's most enigmatic and compelling historic sites, a testament to ambition, danger, decay, and mystery that has captivated visitors for more than a century. What today appears as a crumbling shell, walls of masonry punctuated by turrets peering over the water, was never intended simply as a scenic folly. It began as the real-world arsenal of Francis Bannerman VI, a Scottish-born entrepreneur who turned surplus military equipment into big business at the turn of the 20th century. Bannerman's story is itself oddly cinematic. Arriving in the U.S. as a child in 1854, he began selling scrap metal and within decades had become one of the nation's foremost military surplus dealers, amassing quantities of uniforms, artillery, rifles, ammunition, and hardware so vast that he urgently needed a storage solution outside crowded New York City. In 1900, he purchased the 6.5-acre Polypel Island, a windswept rock in the Hudson River between Beacon and Storm King Mountain, specifically to house the stockpile, safely removed from cities and the risk of accidental explosion. The island was already steeped in folk legend before Bannerman arrived, with indigenous superstitions and Dutch sailor tales folklore claiming the place was haunted, and a romantic tale of a girl, Polly Pell, giving the island its original name. Such spooky associations only deepened around the decaying ruins in later decades. With his own designs and little formal architectural guidance, Bannerman built a vast stone warehouse styled like a quasi-medieval fortress, complete with battlements, towers of differing shapes and sizes, and Bannerman's Island Arsenal emblazoned in massive cement letters to advertise his business to passing Hudson River steamships and trains. On higher ground, he built a smaller castle-like residence for his family, with a gigantic picture window, rare for 1908, looking out over the Hudson Highlands. The complex included functional elements of defense and showmanship alike: cannons strategically placed, watchtowers, a moat with drawbridge, and stone-lined walkways made from recycled materials, cannonballs repurposed as finials, floors laid with timber from old barges, even bed frames melted into structural components, all underscoring Bannerman's reputation as America's first great recycler. Danger was always part of Bannerman's enterprise. Although he described himself as a man of peace who hoped his armory would one day become a museum of the lost arts, the island was, during its heyday, literally crammed with tons of live ammunition, gunpowder, rifles, and ordnance that could have detonated catastrophically at any moment. Stories circulated of testing shells that jumped over the river into barns on the opposite shore, and of workers fatally mishandling live rounds. In 1920, after Bannerman's death, a powder house explosion hurled shells across the grounds, injuring no one but damaging buildings. This looming threat of explosion and the specter of deadly stored weapons contributed in later decades to authorities' caution around access, even long after the munitions were removed. After Bannerman died in 1918, the castle's fortunes declined. By the 1950s, storms sank the island's ferry, Polypel, and the site was largely abandoned. New York State bought the property in 1967, removed remaining military hardware, some of which went to the Smithsonian, and briefly opened it for tours, only for a massive fire in August 1969 to gut the interior, burning roofs and floors and leaving only the castle's skeletal walls standing. Over the subsequent decades, neglect, weathering, and structural decay further reduced the ruins. In 2009, an estimated 35% of the main front wall collapsed, and additional sections have fallen away as mortar eroded and bricks succumbed to the elements. Today, only fragments of the fortress remain intact, and many parts are considered unstable and unsafe for public entry, a major reason why access historically has been restricted, with New York State Parks police and security cameras patrolling, and wandering the island on your own is still forbidden or dangerous. For years the island was off-limits, a ghostly silhouette seen from passing trains or boats, and legends flourished about its forbidding nature. Currents around the rocky shoreline can be swift and treacherous, snakes and poison ivy infest the untended grounds, and stories of hauntings and eerie sightings only add to the aura of mystery that hovers about the place. But the story of Bannerman's castle did not end with abandonment. In 1993, a dedicated group of volunteers formed the Bannerman Castle Trust Incorporated, a nonprofit working with the state to stabilize structures, fund conservation, and gradually open the island for controlled historic tours. The path to public access was slow. Early kayak and boat tours were the only option for those curious enough. But over time, improvements like the construction of stairways, stabilized trails, and careful archaeological and historical work have allowed hard hat, guided tours, and special events to take place on the island during select months. This collaboration between preservationists and state authorities has kept the island from total collapse, though many parts of the castle remain too fragile for unrestricted public access. Bannerman's castle today is a paradox, at once ruin and treasure, secret and celebrated. Its shell-like remains evoke medieval fortresses yet were conceived as a commercial warehouse. Its restricted access, once driven by safety concerns over live ordnance, now by structural fragility and preservation strategy, has only intensified public fascination. Occasional grants, including a 2026 state grant to improve access and reveal a hidden architectural feature called the Grotto, show that the story is still unfolding and that features once hidden by decay may be revealed to visitors in controlled ways. Though its walls crumble and its cannons long gone, Bannerman's castle remains embedded in Hudson Valley lore, visible from trains and boats, a relic of Gilded Age eccentricity, industrial ambition, and the persistent human desire to preserve the past even as nature reclaims its monuments. Bannerman's Castle, located on the 6.5-acre Polypel Island in the Hudson River near Beacon, New York, is one of the region's most mysterious and historically rich sites. Built by Scottish immigrant Francis Bannerman VI in the early 1900s, the castle was originally a warehouse for surplus military equipment, including rifles, cannons, ammunition, and uniforms, rather than a residence. Its architecture, resembling a medieval fortress with turrets, battlements, and towers, blended functional storage with showmanship, using recycled materials such as timber from old barges and even cannonballs as decorative elements.